Now, as soon as you arrive at a major destination in Paris, you're gonna get confronted with some type of scam. Either it's the ladies with a clipboard or people trying to sell you jet skis. It's kind of annoying, but there's not much you can do about it. The police is doing their best, but with 30 million tourists on an annual basis in Paris, it's almost impossible. So in this video, we're gonna tell you the 10 ways tourists keep getting scammed in Paris with transportation, with attractions, and in restaurants, so you don't get caught off guard. Allez, on y va. All right, so let's start with the first scam, and that one happened to a friend of ours in Gare du Nord. She was standing in line on a counter to buy a ticket, and someone got close to her and skimmed a credit card with a device. Later that day, she got a notification with weird charges on her credit card, so she took action and blocked the charges, but it could have been a disaster. This modern technique of pickpocketing uses weaknesses in the NFC technology that allows for contactless payment and copies your card's digital signature to be used in nefarious purchases. Now, Lyron Segev made a more in-depth video on how this works, and I recommend watching it to understand the risk. And if you'd like to protect yourself and support our channel, we've included a link in the description to RFID blocking travel bags, money belts, and wallets that will keep your credit card safe.
The next one is about fake confirmation emails when you use bookings.com. The scam works like this. You receive an email from a major hotel reservation website like bookings.com to confirm your reservation and to provide your credit card information, or it will be canceled. The email format and look is very convincing, and many people fall for that dirty trick. So here's what you should do if you receive an email like that. Do not click on the link. Instead, log in and check it out on the official site.
The next scam happens also in trains and metro stations. Scammers will hang out in train stations looking for tourists confused with the transportation system. They offer help with buying the tickets and will put you at ease. But just when your pass falls out of the machine, they grab it and switch it for an inexpensive ticket that won't get you anywhere. The best way to avoid this scam is by researching tickets and passes in advance and only asking for help from the official service desk.
Another trick people have been falling for is buying their attraction tickets at websites like the Louvre.com or EiffelTower.com, because those are not actually the official websites for the attractions. Take a look at this Louvre website. It looks official, doesn't it? And so does this one for Versailles. But guess what? Neither of these sites are official. We've also heard from people who said those tickets were fake and, even worse, useless when you show up to use them. One of the easiest ways to see if this is the official website is if it ends with a .fr versus a .com. We put a link in the description below to our preferred website with all of the official attraction tickets in one spot, so check it out and see if that's for you.
Now, we've heard about the next one more than one time, and calling it a scam might be a stretch, but it happens so often that I need to call attention to it. And it happens when you get controlled in the metro or the train station by the official staff. And if by mistake you don't have the right ticket or didn't validate it through the gates, then things go south very quickly. We've had reports of controllers quickly getting very aggressive, demanding that the fine be paid on the spot or they'll call the police. For tourists visiting the city with limited French, this can be very intimidating. Now, here's what you need to know. The city of Paris is losing millions of euros every year because of unpaid fare. So cracking down on that is a good thing. But I regularly see people skipping the gate or pushing through behind someone else, and it's never a tourist doing that. And I'm sure the controllers know that. Tourists are an easy target, and the controllers are incentivized with a bonus if the person pays the fine on the spot. So now you know why they target tourists. If you screwed up and got the wrong tickets, don't panic. You can pay the fine on the spot, but you are under no obligation to do so. You can ask them to issue a written ticket that you will pay later. If they threaten to call the police, tell them to do so. That's only done to scare you. Take my word for it. The police in Paris has more pressing issues than to deal with an unpaid fare. But whatever you do, stay calm and composed. There's no need to raise your voice or get aggravated. This will only exacerbate this question, and then they'll use that against you. By the way, if you're coming to Paris, we have a huge Facebook group with almost 300,000 people, so you should check it out. But if you're looking for something a little bit more private, a little bit more intimate with access to Colleen and I, we've created a private group on School. There's a link in the description, or you can scan this QR code. Check it out and see if it's a good fit for you.
Another scam that members of our audience have told us about is when you're in a restaurant and they bring you the bill with the credit card machine and say, we already added 20%, is that okay? If you don't know any better, you may agree to pay the 20% tip. But truth be told, that is a ripoff, and they only do that with tourists. Tipping in France is optional. The service is always included in the bill. It's the law. And if this happens to you, simply ask them to remove the 20% on the top of your bill and let them know you'll leave cash on the table if you like. A Parisian will typically leave a tip of €5 for dinner because service is already included. And you're free to leave anything you want. People in the service industry work very hard and they deserve all of the money they can get paid, especially if they're explaining things to you or giving you other guidance and switching to English for your convenience. But this kind of practice of automatically charging you a mandatory tip has to stop. And it starts with us refusing to be scammed.
The next one, unfortunately, happens every day in Paris. You've been walking around all day, your feet are killing you, and you see one of those tuk-tuks and you say, hey, sure, why not? And this smiling, friendly person is offering you a ride on their tuk-tuk or pedicab. You've seen it on videos and it looks kind of fun, doesn't it? But here's what you need to know about the tuk-tuks in Paris. Most of them are run by illegals. They have no license and most likely no insurance. And best of all, they are notorious scam artists by overcharging, telling you that the price is €15, only to find out when you arrive that it was €15 per person. Look, this is Paris. This is not Bangkok. Tuk-tuk is not a Paris thing. No Parisians would ever ride a tuk-tuk for any reason whatsoever. And if there were honest people, then sure, why not? But not a week goes by without hearing about another tuk-tuk scam. So here's my advice. If you're dead tired, get a taxi or Uber, or take the metro. But don't get into one of those tuk-tuks. It's just simply not safe.
This next one has to do with taxis. And they tried it on me recently when I had friends visiting. Because even when we got in the official taxi line to make sure we weren't getting scammed by somebody else, the head of the taxi line put the people behind us in one taxi and pointed us to a specific taxi. Once we got inside, I noticed that the meter already started at €40 instead of the customary €2.60. I immediately asked him to get rid of the €40 base, and I got into an argument with him. He insisted repeatedly that I didn't know what I was talking about, but he didn't know who he was talking to, that I'm a Frenchie. So my friends and I got out of the taxi at the intersection so we could find a different way to get where we wanted to go. Suffice to say that he wasn't too happy about it, but I wasn't about to get scammed. Now, I don't know for a fact, but I have a hunch that the taxi line staff was in on the whole scam, and that's pretty shameful. Another scam that we've heard of many times is that a taxi might charge you €1,560 instead of €15.60. It could be an honest mistake, but after hearing about this scam multiple times in this past year, I think it's a pretty blatant scam. Be very careful and always ask to see the machine, and definitely tell them you want a receipt.
Now the next one is a classic, and it happens in the restaurants all the time. We hear about it every week when someone orders a bottle of water in a restaurant. And they'll bring you a bottle of spring water, and of course they'll charge you €10 per bottle. Look, water is free in all restaurants in France. It's the law. But you have to ask it for it properly. And you have to say, une carafe d'eau s'il vous plaît, or a water carafe, please. If you just say water in tourist area, they'll undoubtedly bring you a bottle of spring water, and that's not free. So is it a scam? Well, maybe not, but it's unethical at best, and they know exactly what they're doing. Now also, be careful when ordering drinks in Paris. We've heard some people that had a nasty surprise when ordering a lemonade or a cocktail and being shocked to get a bill where they were charged 55 euros for 2 kids worth of lemonade. They were served fresh squeezed lemon juice, and that was a premium. The same thing with cocktails, they're very expensive. Always ask to see a menu so you know exactly how much it costs.
And finally, when people are renting an Airbnb in Paris, it happens all the time that they go through the process, everything looks great, only to find out that it was a fake booking, there is no place to rent, and they end up with no apartment. Talk about a bad way to start your Paris vacation. Unfortunately, we've heard that this is a real problem in Paris and that it happens often. To avoid that, only pick a rental with at least 20 to 30 reviews and preferably a superhost. If you're coming from overseas, it's probably best to stay on the safe side and not just rely on nice photos. Email the host and interact with them before you book. A good host will reply to your email within 48 hours and should answer your questions. And finally, never, ever, ever send your payment over a MoneyGram or anything other than the official website on Airbnb. If someone asks you for money that way, that's a huge red flag. Check out another listing.
If you got value out of this video, please like and subscribe. Next, I would watch this video on how to avoid pickpockets in Paris.